to my world today and what I love to do and why I get out of bed every single morning. So hopefully you guys are looking out your windows, you're staying warm, you're staying safe. It's a little bit of a snowstorm here in Denver, Colorado. Go figure. Denver can go from shorts and flip-flops one day to snow the next. But anyways, that's Denver, that's Colorado, and we love it. So with that being said, I want to extend a big thank you to Casa Resource Center for inviting me down here today and allowing me to share my journey in the business world. We'll dig in a little bit about me in a moment, but let's start off with a sobering fact. Does anybody in here know what's the number one reason most small businesses fail? Well, yes, I'll tell you why. It's cash flow. Cash flow is the number one reason small businesses fail to thrive and survive, and some obviously end up in crushing defeats. At the end of the day, what drives sales? Marketing efforts drive sales. That's where I come in. I help the marketing efforts of all different kinds of companies from small to large. Of course, marketing is a very broad term. It's a very big word that encompasses a lot of different things that an entrepreneur and a business owner can do to establish their brand and get it out there in the field. There's, of course, your website. There is social media. There are blogs. Then it comes down to your branding, your logo, your visual marketing materials that help promote who you are and what you do. At the end of the day, part of those marketing tools will come down to commercial signage and vehicle graphics. Those are very, very important. So that is the industry that I represent, the industry that I serve. I love it. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about what it takes and to establish good branding and be able to visually engage that branding out in your community so that you can then enjoy the benefits of that. So my name is Mark Johnson. I'm originally from New England, just outside of the Boston area. I have been in the sign and graphics industry for 36 years. My team and I have been delivering powerful signs and graphics to both small, regionally large, and national accounts. So I've been blessed with a fun and fabulous career, and as much as I can, I try and give back as often as possible. My journey started long before I even knew I was going to end up in the sign and vehicle graphic market. I was an artist. I was a terrific artist all through grade school and high school. I was such a great artist that when it came to my academic courses, I wasn't doing so good. But in all my art courses, I was straight A's. I had a passion for it, had a talent for it, and I didn't have a passion for anything else other than maybe some sports. And so the path chose me more than I chose the path. And that was very interesting. Early on, family and friends would say, hey, Mark's an artist. Mark, can you paint something for us? A relative is starting a small company, or I've got a friend who's got a construction company and needs some lettering on his truck. And so I would just, go to the local hardware store and grab paints and brushes, not knowing what I was doing. And I would paint these things called signs and truck lettering on doors, and not realizing that I was already in the sign and vinyl graphic industry. So that was kind of cool. I ended up jumping on a motorcycle and leaving New England and just riding around America, and I ended up in California. And while I was in California, this was just a young kid taking some time off discovering the world. While I was in California, I would go down to Venice Beach every once in a while. And Venice Beach, of course, is the quintessential landmark of California, beach life, surf, and that sort of thing. And right there on the surf walk, there was a gentleman who was always there on the weekends, and he was pinstriping cars. He would be able to start a tiny little stripe at one end of the car and pull that stripe all the way to the front of the car. It was a perfect straight line. And that was known as pinstriping, and that was hugely popular back then. It's actually making a big resurgence now. But I would bug him. I would say, hey, what is it you're doing? What is that? And And he would he was sort of an older guy, and he would say, just don't bother me, kid, I'm working. And, sure enough, weekend after weekend, I just kept showing up because I really wanted to learn this stuff. I wanted to know what it was. Well, he finally took some time, and he said, I do pinstriping, and I do it on custom hot rods and things like that. But this is an offshoot of the sign painting world. That's how long I've been in this industry. Back then, there were no computers, there were no printers. It was all hand-dipped paint and brushes and just learning how to construct proper letter forms. He said, kid, before you're going to jump into pinstriping, learn how to hand paint a perfect O, a perfect S, or the number 8. Get that down. Once you learn how to sign paint, no matter where you go in life, statistically speaking, geographically and statistically speaking, there are more businesses going in and out of business than there are staying in business. Hence, constant turnover for commercial signage. And I'm like, boom, I get it. I understand. Terrific. So that was the moment, and I think this was back in 1985, that I said, okay, I'm going to learn this. I'm going to learn this sign painting thing, and I did. And I've enjoyed it ever since. And so again, since 1985 till now, my company has grown to the extent that we're servicing national accounts. I have a fantastic team. We don't have employees at Husky Signs and Graphics. We have team members. We are a team-first culture. We take care of our team before we take care of anybody else. So I'm very blessed and privileged to work with that team. These are professionals that love what they do, and they know what they do, and they know how to do it. So with that said, some of the things that I also want to talk about before we jump into the benefits of vinyl graphics and commercial signs is part of that journey. What lessons have I learned as an entrepreneur? Well, we talked about what led me into it. But then what are some of the lessons I've learned along the way? If you intend to grow a company and truly want to grow it and scale it to the extent that someday maybe it's sold and you can retire early. Every company, every organization is structured around systems and processes. And of course, accountability. I did not learn that for the longest time. I do not have a college degree. I went to the School of Hard Knocks. So the lesson that I learned is start much sooner in structuring the processes and systems of your organization. I waited way too late, and having waited way too long, lots of headaches, lots of stress. It was a bad situation. I had to learn that, okay, I got to pull back and I got to document. I got to document, when an opportunity shows up, how you handle it through sales, how it then goes through the design department and into vinyl fabrication and paint and eventually installation. Every industry, every company is different. Systems are different. Structures are different. So I had to build one based on what I knew worked for me, and it was a work in progress for many, many years. Sometimes you put this down on paper, it looks great on paper, then you roll it out to the team, and you find your weak points. And so it's constantly evolving. So the biggest lesson I learned was set up your structures and your processes early. Plan ahead and document. And then realize that it's a never-ending process. If you're not growing, you're slowly dying on the vine. And so processes evolve. You want to always engage better efficiencies and discover what works faster, what works better. So that was the biggest lesson. The other thing that I learned is an entrepreneur, someone that starts their own company, they're a different breed. And there's a joke I've heard, or saying a joke that I've heard over the years, and it rings so true. What is the definition of an entrepreneur? No, okay. I'll tell you what the definition is. It is an individual who is willing to work 60 to 70 hours a week so they don't have to work 40 hours a week. That's it. And it rings true. It absolutely rings true. In your startup stages, your growth stages, Be prepared to work hard, work long. Don't sacrifice your family, but work hard, work long. If you achieve some early success, build on that. Get your systems documented, get your processes documented. Be able to scale the company. It's only in the last, honestly, maybe 5 to 7 years that I've been able to throttle back a little bit and allow my team to run the show. And it's amazing. Should I have gotten there a lot sooner in my path? You're darn right I should have, but I didn't know what I didn't know. So there you have it. Those are the 3 key things for me. Why I got into it, the industry found me because I was a natural artist and was gravitated towards it. Document your systems, document your structure, your processes, and then be prepared to work long and hard hours until you don't have to. All right, so there's my little story. All right, with that, let's jump into basically 2 different segments of what we offer. Basically, there's some visual cues here. This is a banner stand, and this represents interior signage. There's exterior signage, there's interior signage. Signage comes in all different shapes and styles and types. There's non-electrical, there is electrical. The word sign or signs, again, is a very broad word. Our product deliverables are wide and many. There are companies out there that focus on nothing but ADA or code compliance signage. Those are the little placards that you might see throughout an office building or facility that shows you where the bathrooms are, where the stairwells are, where the fire exits are, and they identify rooms and pathways through that building. That's ADA code compliance and wayfinding. And then there's, of course, exterior signage. That's a whole different monster, but on the exterior of the building, whether it's a flat panel sign above an entrance or whether it's individual backlit letters that run down the entire side of the building, that's a segment of the market that tackles electric signs. And then everything in between. Think of an office environment where you have a reception desk, and right behind the reception desk on the wall is maybe a routed dimensional or raised sign. That is the company logo. It can be made of lots of different materials, natural woods, aluminums, plastics, painted, not painted, lots of different variations there. So to that degree, my company offers all of that. We don't specialize in any singular environment other than interior environments. I chose a long time ago to focus on interior environments for one simple reason. When you're dealing with exterior signs, you're dealing with municipality codes and permit acquisitions. Basically, you're dealing with the government. It's hard, it's tough, it's frustrating. Sometimes our clients simply have that need and we will go there for them. But at the end of the day, if I were to cherry pick my work, it would be interior office environments. And the beauty of that is massive amounts of space that we can have so much fun with. That space can be utilized in a lot of different ways. You can utilize it to simply promote your logo. If you have a lot of clients walking in, it might be a retail environment, you can then throughout the store display, different areas, different departments, different racks, different seasonal sales. There's lots of ways to display that information. In an office environment, that's where there's a little bit more artistic license. So if you have a team or a group of people, maybe you don't have a lot of client interaction within your workspace, there's an opportunity to brand the walls, to simply create a visually exciting and engaging environment for your team. It picks up morale, it engages them, makes them proud of where they are and where they work. Also, it's an opportunity to visually communicate your team's culture, your core values. What are they? What are examples of your core values? So all of these things can be utilized on the interior walls of your environment to just communicate who you are, your story, and what you do, and maybe how you do it, and both from a team aspect internally or client-facing externally when they come inside your building. Lots of different things to consider along those ways. It might be out of camera's view, but here at Casa Resource Center, there's a beautiful south-facing wall with some windows, but a very talented artist hand-painted a beautiful street mural. That is something that really captures this space. It adds beauty, it adds energy, it adds color. So to the extent that people are here working in the space, they can enjoy that. That's something there all day long to enjoy, as opposed to just a couple of posters on the walls. In my world, we would execute this not so much as a hand-painted mural, although 25 years ago, I probably would have done that. We now print on vinyl, adhesive-backed vinyl, and we have rolls of vinyl that are very, very wide. So we would end up either scanning in original artwork that might be supplied by a client, or the client might ask us to design something engaging. Maybe it's simple graphics or messaging revolving around their culture or their core values. And we would design that through Adobe Illustrator in the Creative Suite, and then that would then get printed through our printing equipment, and then our installers would show up with these massive rolls of adhesive-backed vinyl. Think of it as a gigantic bumper sticker, and we would then install that vinyl all the way across the wall. So whether they're small walls, 10 feet by 10 feet, or massive walls, 19 feet by 50 feet, we've done them all, and it's a very exciting way to execute that. There's other avenues where we can utilize products called SCG fabric frames. These are aluminum extruded frames. Think of a picture frame on a wall that we can install on the wall, but then the visual graphic is a dye sublimation printed fabric with a silicone bead sewn into the edges. That's the sewn edge graphic aspect of the name. And those beads are simply pressed into a channel around the outer edges of the frame, leaving a very tight and beautiful display of whatever it is you're visually promoting. The beauty of that is, especially in retail environments, is those can be changed seasonally. Very cost effective, very quickly. You can just pull the fabric out of the frame and put a new fabric back in the frame. It's really popular in office environments, big conference room. Let's use commercial builders as an example. Maybe once or twice a year, they will have completed flagship projects, massive architectural buildings that are just beautiful. Well, as they entertain clients and or investors throughout the year, these graphics can be changed out to reflect the most recent and the best project that they've recently completed. So that's the beauty of the SCG fabric frame. It's changeable, cost effective, and it stays fresh all the way down the line. We talked a little bit about ADA and code compliance. We've talked a little bit about exterior signs and attracting people to your storefront or your office. We've talked about interior wall engagement. So we've talked a lot about the visual engagement opportunities for signage in the work environment. Let's talk about how that really affects potential clients. Did you know that most business decisions, surprisingly enough, most business decisions from a consumer aspect and partly from another business choosing to use a vendor are emotionally based? Think about that. It's emotionally based. Yes, there are very specific times when there will be a very analytical approach to making that decision. But more often than not, the first impression is an emotional impression. Remember this saying: you will never have a second chance to make a first impression. That's very powerful. When it comes to exterior signage, whether you're an office engaging client walk-ins or client appointments, whether it's a retail setting, that person who is driving up and trying to find your location and or has parked and walked up, they're going to look at your office front or your storefront. Unbeknownst to them, they're going to make an emotional decision before they make an analytical decision. So how does everything present? Was it well designed? Was it well done? Was it made of quality materials? All that plays a role in the success or failure of your ability to capture that client for either a one-time engagement, if that's your business model, or for a long-term relationship. It's very, very important. You will never have a second chance to make a first impression. We were talking earlier, just before the live streaming started, about some of the ins and outs of the sign industry, and what it takes to actually achieve that. Well, it takes planning. A lot of times I get calls from startup companies, and I even get calls from large commercial builders. They are 90% of the way through the process of opening up a storefront or getting their certificate of occupancy, their CO, for a big commercial building, and then, the signs. It's unbelievable how often that happens. I get the call, I'm opening my store in a couple of weeks, or we are going for our final inspection in 2 or 3 weeks. We need code compliant signs right now. Or the store owner, the mom and pop startup, we didn't even think about this. Well, so as surprisingly as often as that happens, the takeaway from that is plan accordingly. In your early stages of startup or in your early stages of phase 1, phase 2 building kickoffs, you got to think about the signage. You got to budget for the signage. You have to understand what you need at a minimum and what you would like to have if the budget allows. That's when you should make the calls to companies like mine. We are here to collaborate with you. We are here to partner with you. We are a resource to you. The earlier you can tackle these things, understand what works, what doesn't work, and how much this might cost versus what is your budget or what is your comfort range of spend, we can tackle all this at the front end. So now it's not a fire drill, because trust me, fire drills don't turn out as great as they normally do. So that's a takeaway. Early startups, even larger projects. Think about your commercial sign needs much earlier on. So there's a quick dive into the commercial signage arena. The other side of what we offer is here are vehicle graphics. And this is where, if you remember earlier in my talk, how I started. I started because I was attracted to a pinstriper at Venice Beach who was pinstriping vehicles. And once I self-taught, I would get into it and I would start hand lettering truck doors. Acme Plumbing and a phone number. That was my world. That was my fun. That's what paid the bills and put a little beer in my hand once in a while. Well, that has certainly evolved. Now vehicle branding is a very, very effective way to get your brand out there in your geographical community. Small companies might have 1 or 2 vehicles, and that serves a smaller geographical range. Larger corporations, well, of course, they have their fleets. Their fleets can drive locally, regionally, and nationally, promoting their brand every minute of the day. Think about the vehicle and how often it's on the road. When we look at trucks, buses, campers, we refer to them as rolling billboards because that's exactly what they are. You might have strong internet presence, you might have strong social media presence, but at the end of the day, this is a silent salesperson who is extremely loud. Think about that. This is promoting who you are and what you do 24/7. Whether it's parked in front of your building, whether it's parked at a job site, or whether it's driving around the geographical area. One of the one of the lessons I've learned over the years is how to design an effective vehicle graphic package. That's the key, effective vehicle graphic package. A lot of times I get companies that they do a plethora of things, and they have this beautiful ornate logo, and they have visions of background colors and textures, and they want to throw everything onto this vehicle. My job is to basically tell them, don't do it, you're wasting your money, because you're not going to get a measurable return on investment. At the end of the day, a design like that, if it's too cluttered, too busy, it's simply going to be a blob of color rolling down the road, and people will not look at it. We are bombarded daily with visual things, and we subconsciously choose what we want to look at for that spur of the moment. An average viewer has maybe 3 seconds to see a vehicle, read the message, and retain it. Think about that for a minute. 1001, 1002, 1003. In that time frame, that viewer has to know who you are and what you do. So that boils down to simplicity of layout. That is our design mantra. That is the way we approach every and all vehicle graphics project. Other than that, our clients at the end of the day will not get a measurable return on investment. So here we have a pickup truck. This is a sprinkler and landscaping company. This is a situation where this is what we call a partial wrap. The factory color of the truck is blue, and all the logos and other mountains and phone numbers, that's the vinyl graphics. So that's what we call a partial wrap. They can be very, very effective. They also come in balance with tight budgets. Secondly, this is a municipality or RTD fleet of buses in New England. These are 100% full wraps. And of course, the main factor in these are the colors, vibrant, vibrant colors. They are buses. Everyone knows what public transportation is. It needs to be there. It needs to be affordable. It needs to be available. This is MEVA, the Merrimack Valley RTD Association. So that's a very, very effective campaign. Their ridership and their revenue skyrocketed after we spent probably a year and a half wrapping a fleet of their vehicles. They had, I think, well over 120 vehicles in their fleet. So that was a fantastic program that we were fortunate enough to partner with them, and their ridership, their revenue has gone up dramatically. This is the City of Lakewood. This is a community health outreach RV camper, and this is parked more than it travels, so we had the luxury of displaying more information for the viewing public. So, you know, there's different applications that we design too. Our objective is to understand what is the goal of our client. What do you need to accomplish with this? Do you simply need to establish brand recognition in your community? Do you need to differentiate yourself from your competitors? You need to establish trust, the emotional component of someone making a decision as to whether or not they want to call you, or 100% deliver a message. So in this case, we had the luxury of a larger area that afforded us more opportunity to get the information on there that was required. I don't know if you can see the bottom photo, but again, that is a full wrap pickup truck. That truck came to us red, but the brand colors were blue, orange, and white. So at the end of the day, even though the front half of that truck looks white and the doors and the bed show who the company is, the white area, that's all vinyl. So we solved a problem for the client. So this is about problem solving. They already owned the truck. They couldn't afford to go out and buy a new truck, but yet red, the factory color of the truck, did not play any part in their brand. Their brand guidelines, who they are, what they do, and the colors and the visual logo that presented them. So the solution was, we can wrap the whole truck. Give it a white neutral base, and then we'll get all your brand colors on top of that. 90% of the buying public has reported that they see vehicle advertising on the road, and they will make a decision as to whether or not they will call that company based on what they saw. So again, it comes back to you'll never have a second chance to make that first impression. Vehicles are more effective than static billboards, because where static billboards are simply a stationary item that you're going to pass once or twice along your commute or your vacation route or whatever it might be, these are in constant motion all the time. I've had clients say to me, they've only had one truck at the time. That was it. But yet their service area was maybe the Colorado Front Range, maybe from Pueblo all the way up to Greeley. And as often as that truck is driven around and displayed, when he gets calls, he hears this: "You guys are huge. I see your trucks everywhere." Well, they're actually only seeing one truck, but that one truck is driving around quite a bit. That's the effectiveness of this. And of course, if you actually do have a fleet of vehicles, 5, 10, 25 vehicles, that is your amplification. That is your force multiplier when it comes to branding who you are and what you do. That's what it gets really fun and interesting. So buckle up, enjoy that ride. When we design these, part of what we offer is a lot of consulting with our clients. We ask them, how would you like your prospect, your potential clients to reach out to you? Would you like them to phone first and engage them human to human? That's legit in this day and age. Or would you rather them go directly to your website? It better be a good website. You better be proud of it. It better be informative, because what you want them to do is self-qualify. They want to make sure you're the right fit, and in doing so, they're self-qualifying before they either send an email through the website inquiring about a cost or service, or they decide to pick up the phone. We can generate that path, and it's simple. If you have a website and you have a phone number, but you choose, maybe smaller startups choose to engage any prospect or a future client on the phone, well, it's simple. That phone number is going to be 80% of some area of display, whereas the website might be only 20% of that display. And then vice versa. If you do not have the staff to engage all the phone calls, but you want everybody to filter through your website, then the website is going to be the 80% and the phone number 20%. And then, of course, there's QR codes. QR codes made a big comeback during COVID, especially at restaurants and menus and things of that nature. They're legit. QR codes, we can put those on trucks and vehicles and buses, and they can be large enough that if somebody is in a parking lot, sees your vehicle, or maybe they're driving alongside traffic, maybe the passenger in their vehicle can take a picture of that QR code. You can design that QR code to land at a very specific page on your website. Maybe that's a page that represents a value proposition to your client base, or a call to action. 10% off first-time customers, 25% off first-time customers. So there's a lot of different ways to brand the vehicles, but through communication with our clients and understanding what your objective is and what you hope to accomplish, we can tailor the design to anything you need it to say, do, or represent for you. So basically, that's it. We have commercial signage, interior office and workplace environments, code compliance, safety, logo branding, culture, story, who we are, what we do, how we do it, bold, engaging visual representations, and then we have exterior fleet graphics, whether it's small spot graphics on doors and beds of pickups, whether it's partial wraps or whether it's full wraps. We offer the entire gamut, and at the end of the day, these are the things that you need to focus on as entrepreneurs and business owners that will really help to establish your brand, what you do and how you do it, and give you the traction you need to generate the opportunity which will result in sales. And if you remember, we're here to talk about what does it take to generate those sales. That's how a company thrives, is continuous opportunities, continuous sales, and marketing along commercial signage or vehicle graphics. That is one of your strongest tools in your marketing tool bag to get the message out there. So that's my presentation. I trust that it was very valuable and enlightening for you. Hopefully I didn't bore you. Hopefully there's no one asleep right now. With that said, I'd love to open up the floor to any questions. I think probably the majority of the questions might come in over the internet.
We already have one.
Okay, wonderful.
They're asking, how does color impact branding?
How does color affect branding? Okay, the question is, how does color affect branding? Well, I'll tell you what, that comes back to emotions. Color elicits emotions. If you're a brand, I'm going to try and use a crazy example. You're a brand that's in demolition, right? You're knocking buildings down or you're blowing buildings up to see them just, collapse. Well, you don't want to choose soothing colors. You don't want to choose a soothing color palette. You don't want pastels. You don't want light greens or, light magentas. You want bold color. You want that color to punch somebody in the eyeball. So there are different color combinations that will elicit different emotions that have to be matched to who you are, what you do, and what your logo or how your logo needs to be designed and or your supporting materials.
I guess I have a question. So there's a ton of vendors out there.
Yep.
And I'm looking for a quote, and I'm looking for the best company.
Yep.
Why should I choose you?
Okay, so the question is, there's lots of sign and vehicle graphic vendors out there. Why should any one individual choose us? Well, whether it's Husky Signs or Graphics or whether it's somebody else, this is the first key. This is your first flag, whether it's a green flag or whether it's a red flag. Reach out, either through their website or through a phone call. If you're engaged immediately or within that same day, bingo. All too often, I have clients or prospects that call me and or leave a message or elicit a quote through the website. And when we re-engage them, we're told, you're the only company that called us back. We've been looking for a few days now. So we are a company that values our clients. We engage quickly. Once we engage, we basically have a moment of discovery. Sure, we can sell you a sign. Sure, we can sell you some vehicle graphics. Let's take a moment and really discover what you need to accomplish. That's what it's all about. Once I understand what their true needs are, and sometimes you uncover things that you didn't know and they uncover things that they weren't aware of, then we can say, okay, terrific. I have a path for you. I have a solution for you. But to make sure that we are a good fit, and I want to make sure that I can meet all your expectations, tell me if you've ever had a past experience with a sign or vehicle graphic vendor. More often than not, they have. And I say, well, then how come you didn't call them? How come you called us? Well, I just didn't like the quality of the work, or they weren't very proactive. It took them, quite a while to get me design things of that nature. So, okay, so those were your pain points. All right, let's talk about how we do business. This is our process. We'll engage you, we'll collaborate with you, we'll design a solution for you. Then we'll talk about your budget. What is your comfort range of spend? Maybe you think you want a massive full wrap, and maybe that might be the right solution, but maybe you just don't have the budget for it, so we have to dig a little deeper to deliver on what you need at a tighter budget point, which would be a partial wrap. So we're here to work with you, not just slam a quote and hope to make a sale and sell you a sign or a vehicle wrap. It's about partnering with our clients. That's our differentiator.
We have another question. For a startup business, which print would be the best investment?
It depends on your business model. The question was, for a startup business, which would be the better investment? Okay, that definitely depends on what your business is. If it's a retail store, that's a no-brainer. You need exterior signage and exterior window graphics. If you are in the service sector, if you're in the trades, you absolutely need to go ahead and encourage or lock down your vehicle graphics. That also starts with, as far as an investment and the best return on investment, is getting an effective logo design. I apologize, I probably should have started with that. Partner with a good design firm or a graphic designer, or partner with a company like mine who delivers all in one. We can design it for you, we can produce many different products. So get that logo established, get the brand guidelines established, get your tagline established, and then, depending on the business model, your best money spent is either going to be vehicle graphics or it's going to be exterior signage. If you are a professional, maybe you're an accountant or an investment broker, to a degree, yeah, maybe you could use some vehicle graphics, but then you'll probably fall into the realm of the real estate agent. You know, real estate agents love their vehicle graphics, but there's so many out there, it's tough to differentiate yourself from your competitor. I would say that if you were a professional seeking clients, one-on-one consultation to an office environment, I would probably focus on a small, very beautifully designed, well-manufactured sign at your door, but then more importantly, inside your office. Yes, you can utilize wall wraps. Maybe they're a little more subdued in their appearance, but most importantly, in your reception area, that's where you want to engage a little more money to create a three-dimensional reproduction of your logo on the wall. That instills a polished effect, a higher level of importance to detail. So when you're trying to attract a client that is entrusting you with money or finances or things like that, legal services, that's where the money should be spent.
Now, I got a question. As part of the vehicle wrapping, what's the most common industry that they use?
I don't believe there is any one singular industry that utilizes wraps more than another. I have to honestly say, I think that the variety of businesses, the different sectors.
Or also, what industry they should take advantage of that, and they're afraid that they don't do it. Like, for instance, I see a lot of construction companies do that, like landscaping.
Yep.
And a lot of people may have the impression, oh, that should be only for construction, it's not for my industry.
Ah.
And they should take advantage of vehicle wrapping.
Yeah, they should. Okay, so all right, so I think the summary of the question is, if someone perceives their industry as not an industry that would benefit from vehicle wrapping, I would say, stop, slow down. Let's talk about your industry. Let's talk about your business. Let's talk about who you're trying to attract as a client. Because the answer is, it doesn't matter what the business is. It doesn't matter what the industry is. These are rolling billboards. These will capture attention and get you brand awareness. So after I would discover what their industry sector is.
I'll give you an example. Most companies, they should spend more money on marketing, right? On branding. And I don't see many vehicles on the road say, hey, I do signs and graphics.
If you're a sign and graphic business owner and you do not have your vehicles branded, my hands are up in the air. I mean, you're missing an incredible opportunity. There are some businesses that don't necessarily need vehicle. I guess I would reflect back on maybe the financial or legal sector.
Oh, okay.
I'll mention somebody, Ramos Law. They brand their vehicles. They're highly effective. But at the end of the day, is it mandatory, necessary? No. A strong website, even stronger, social media, things of that nature. Maybe if that is already established for you and you're seeing your sales pipeline, your inbound opportunities are full just from those two avenues, hats off to you. You nailed it. That's great. If you're any other business that just is not getting enough opportunities to quote and try and capture work out there, look at your vehicle. Is it something you can begin to utilize? Look at your exterior signage. Is it old? Is it weathered? Was it not great to begin with? Just look at those areas. It's a combination of lots of different things that eventually will make a company successful. but these are two important ones if you're out in the world or you need to attract customers to you. So did I answer that question?
Yes.
All right, terrific. All right.
We have one that maybe switch to your court. I work in the art world and magazine publishing. How do you handle color matching on different materials?
Can I run now? Can I run out the door?
Real technical.
All right. So obviously, that person. This is not your first rodeo. Color matching. It is a necessary challenge. There is a universal color code by Pantone. There are spot colors associated with many different brands around the world. The Coca-Cola Red, for example. When an artist designs a logo, and then that logo, that color, blue, orange, red, whatever it needs, or whatever it is, needs to appear consistently, whether it's newsprint or whether it's marketing collateral, printed brochures, business cards, or vehicles like this, or signage like that. As long as the client or the design firm can provide us with a target Pantone color, we then know what we need to do at our end to manipulate CMYK values, because all of our printing equipment is based on CMYK. I won't go into a deep dive there, but we'll know what color we're trying to target. So, during the process, we'll go ahead and submit color proofs. Those color proofs, in the center of the color proof, will have the target known color that's been specified, and then we'll have a series of percentages of differences going out one way or the other. So we can then choose the best match. Now, here's something that this individual will probably maybe already be aware of, but it is very, very, very real in my industry. We go outside of our building to color match because 90% of what we do is seen outside of the interior environment. On a sunny day, you will look at that color and you'll say, that's it, that's the color, we nailed it. Later on that day, if it gets a little cloudy, you look at that same color and it's a fail. That's the nature of the beast. Different lighting conditions will affect how the human eye sees and perceives that color. That's basically reflective color. You have color on an object, and the exterior lighting, whether it's interior lights or exterior sun, hits that color and reflects back into your eye, which is very different than translucent color, which is what we see on our monitors and our TVs. Very, very difficult to match a translucent TV monitor or computer monitor color with a printed color. But in terms of targeting colors, as long as clients can give us a Pantone code or a physical sample of the color that they're trying to achieve, we then have the tools and the knowledge to match that color. All right.
Would you want to tackle another?
Yeah. Well, what I wanted to do is we have in our folks in house today, we have someone that owns a graphic design firm, and he's got a I was very where are my glasses? I was very impressed with his brand, Folks with an F Marketing, and his business card. This is with a QR code. This is his VI pass to the interaction world. This is smart. This is very well done. The reason I brought this up is because we don't just work with startups and business owners and successful companies. We work a lot with design firms. A lot of times the design firms, marketing agencies, they'll have their clients and they'll do a lot of the heavy lifting as far as the initial creative design work and then ongoing designage for collateral materials, such as bifolds and business cards and things of that nature. But they may also recommend interior wall wraps or more signage engagements or vehicle graphics. So a lot of times we work with design firms who bring to us ready-made designs, and then we collaborate with them on behalf of their client to then deliver on the product. And so that's a large part of our business. So I'm glad you attended today, just so I could address that.
Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I appreciate that. If you didn't hear that, he said maybe in the future we could work together. So little did I know that this would be a sales opportunity.
You always gotta be selling, right?
You always got, yeah, salesperson always has to be selling. So was there another question?
Hell yeah. It says here, how do you find your initial customer base in a market that already has companies offering my service? I've been told I do it better, but getting the first few customers has been difficult.
Yeah, that's a challenge. That's very real. That's a challenge. There's a lot of different ways you can go about it. I might be going outside of my field of expertise because it would be very easy for me to say, invest in your vehicle graphics, invest in your signs, look better and more professional than your competition. Put them to shame. You owe it to yourself and your family to do everything you can to not badmouth your competition. That's not what we're about. But you can make them look bad because you look great. Mediocre companies have mediocre logos. Great companies have great logos. Yeah, there it is. Now, to elaborate out beyond that, because I want to be of help to anybody that's watching right now, it's tough. That's a very real problem. Some industries, some markets are what we call saturated. There's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of choices. So yes, look different than them, look better than them. That's how you can differentiate. But then at the end of the day, once you get a little traction, you can begin to rely on referrals. But before that happens, I'd recommend community outreach. Absolutely community outreach. I would look at your location, your service area, what community fairs might be. You know, an area where you can set up for a day. You know, it's you know, little guerrilla marketing, thinking outside of the box. What can you do? Promotions. I talked about it earlier through QR codes. A value proposition or a call to action. And we can think of it as a loss leader. So maybe you want to do a media blitz. You're trying to establish yourself in a certain market. A value proposition or a call to action might be something crazy like this. Any first-time client, 50% off. You know, and then maybe in the fine print, up to a $2,000 project. That's something that you need to measure within your own world. But if you think of that and you promote that through your social media, through your website, through constant contact or MailChimp, you know, massive email blasts, have a value proposition that somebody will just get blown away by. They can't ignore it. Holy wow, this is amazing. I'm going to take advantage of this. And it might be a lost leader. But at the end of the day, if you capture half a dozen or a dozen new clients, and then once you deliver on their expectations and fulfill the job, then work with them on testimonials, on them speaking out, them leaving you reviews, the Google review thing, it's very real. You know, that's a different way to hopefully achieve your goals. It's going to be tough, and you got to be bold. So think of it in terms of that. All right.
We have another one if you want to.
Oh, of course, yes.
Oh yeah. Charlie asks, how do you plan for slow periods of business financial? How do you plan for slow periods of business financially? They say you have to spend money to make money, but how do you also plan for a market slowdown?
Okay. Great question, Charlie. I love it. I can tell you're a business owner, and I can tell you've been doing this for a while. 36 years. I've seen several booms and busts, big ones, very big ones. I mean, you know, 2008, 2009, I started using the phrase "flat is the new success," and then of course, you know, the last 3 or so years, business confidence just constrained, and people weren't spending. It was tough. It was a struggle. What I would say is, you know, we're talking about cash flow, managing cash flow. You always have to expect downturns cyclically or seasonally, depending on your business or, of course, economic conditions. Yes, when times were tough, especially back in 2008, 2009, the smart companies that had some cash reserves, they planned for this. They put that money away. They did not spend all of their budgets. They reallocated money. They called companies like mine and spent that money. Simple storefront banners, mom-and-pa situations, all the way up to redoing vinyl graphics on their fleet. And on their fleet, we actually delivered call to action messaging, you know, those discounts, those value propositions. That was smart money spent, and I know it worked because several companies came back to me and said, okay, we did 5 trucks, we're going to do 10 more. We're gaining some traction. So to the extent that I can help a company through the products and services I provide, that might be one avenue. But the starting point is you have to budget accordingly, you have to save, and then when times get slow, whether it's economic conditions or whether it's just seasonal because of your business, that's when you have to push and push and push and promote value propositions or call to actions. All right. It's 10:30 right now, so tactically that might be a stop time, although I'm not the rule maker. If there are more questions, I'd be happy.
There's one. It says here, which has been your favorite project to work on and why?
I know exactly what it was. It was the very, very first mega project that we earned. Okay, do we have 3 minutes? Let's go. All right, this is probably going back to 2000, maybe 2005 or so. We were in an old beat up metal building in Boulder County, and we were right next to a pig farm. And this, for me, back then, was affordable commercial space in Boulder County here in Colorado. We were given the opportunity to bid on a project for Southwest Airlines. Our website was strong, and through our website, their marketing firm reached out to us and said they are launching a nationwide campaign to promote their employees, all the pilots, all the stewards, baggage handlers, everyone that makes that airline a success. We are going to wrap the inside walls of the jet bridges across the country. These jet bridges, these are the tunnels on wheels that after you scan your ticket, you walk down to get onto the plane. They're called jet bridges. I didn't know that, but I learned on that one. And so through a series of long conference calls, video calls, corporate marketing executives with Southwest Airlines, and of course their marketing ad agency, we bid on and we were awarded the project. This was a massive project for us. It was our first massive project. And to that extent, weeks later, after we got their artwork and we had to go through some color proofing scenarios, we talked about that earlier today, 1 or 2 executives from Southwest Airlines and 1 or 2 people from their ad agency wanted to fly to Colorado to meet in person with us to look at these color proofs. And this is how that went. The day was set. We knew they flew in that morning. They rented a car. They were going to stay at a hotel that night, but it was only for maybe a 1 hour or so visit at Husky Signs and Graphics to look at colors and make sure we're nailing their corporate colors. From our front office, which in this old beat up metal building, we cut some rough windows and put some glass in there just so we get some light into the building. We could see their rental car drive in from about 100 yards away down a dirt driveway, and they had slowed down, and we could see them looking out their windows at a field of pigs. And then as they got closer and closer, you could see every single head in that car, including the driver, was just reaching their head forward and looking through the windshield going, where the heck are we? So they finally roll up to the location, they get out, and they come through the front door, and the inside of my building was spectacular. We branded the heck out of the inside. From the outside, yes, we had a sign at the road. Yes, it was a beautiful sign, but as they drove up to the building itself, the exterior of the building was an old, beat-up metal farm building. It was an old equipment farm building on this farm, and now we were renting it out. So we greeted them. We had a great time. We nailed the colors. Everybody was happy, and to this day, we still do some work for Southwest Airlines. To this day, they talk about when they first drove up and saw a pig farm and an old metal building. So that was a memorable project for me. That was the biggest source of gratification for me, because it was hundreds of thousands of dollars in business for my company. And we had a lot of fun for about the next 6 months executing that job throughout America, flying to different markets and getting different clearances, security clearances at different airports, so that we can then be workers on site. So there it is. All right. All right. Hey, everybody, thank you for taking time out of your day and being here and learning as much as you did. I hope I answered a lot of questions and gave a lot of great information for you and to you. With that being said, I'm here to educate and share. I'm not here to sell. I'm also here to really promote Casa Resource Center here in Denver, Colorado. This is an amazing building. It's an amazing organization with some incredible people. So for startups that are looking for resources and established successful businesses, looking for continuous resources, please check these folks out at Casa Resource Center. They're amazing. So with that, enjoy the rest of your day. God bless.